So it's like I have sound from you.
Muted.
It's my sound. Okay, so Windows, like a pilot, you know. So hello everybody. Today we're talking about art history and guest Distilbert. So I met Distilbert on X, listen his lectures about history like ancient Greece, Rome, and a lot of interesting like historical persons. And I was thinking like it will be cool to invite and talk on my channel. So hello Distilbert.
Hello, good day, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I
So,
can yeah.
so my channel, we celebrate a lot of glorious men and women of the West, and often these men and women were famous artists. We had a space about Aeschylus, the Greek tragedian, the Greek playwright who wrote tragedies. We had celebrated um, uh, Brunelleschi, one of the Renaissance architects. So
Oh,
yes, often when we celebrate these people, many of them are, of course, famous artists. That is one thing that Western civilization produced a lot of.
yeah. So and kind of like because yeah, I will talk little introduction like how it's connected with me. So here, wait. So here is my art college. I've been studying in Russia. So we have a lot of kind of like roots, kind of connection to Greece. Like recently I was discover actually like our area around Black Sea. It's been like colony of ancient Greece. Very interesting. So
Beautiful.
yeah, and so yeah, and we have this like historical site actually in Tanais kind of school. Like it's crazy, like ancient city, ancient Greek city, underground. Yeah. So this kind of like how look our space where we've been studying. So this like I've been exactly here. It's like was right in time when they renovated. So part of a program it's art history where like our teachers like tell us this kind of timeline like about ancient Greece, about this kind of, you know, like how art tradition leads to art tradition of Russian academia, when at certain point it was Renaissance and there was like impressionists, and then like in Russia it's some kind of interesting mix because it has like some impressionism but in same time is very like classical, I don't know, so like for me it reminds a lot like a golden era of illustration in America, or maybe like also I forget his names. Okay, anyways. so uh so I mean it was so interesting like we've been like um inside all this environment, and here is this I then also met friend professor from St. Petersburg Academy of Stiglitz Academy, and they have this like amazing historical building. It's like place, it's
Mm,
museum, and it's actually where they really study.
that's so beautiful. And you know
So
the way that natural light, how important that is in Western architecture. because
Mm.
it's a spiritual aspect of our biospirit that we have a special affinity for natural light. One of the patterns that was discovered um, in Renaissance buildings is that Renaissance buildings have, at any point, um, there's a pattern where they try to always have every point in three-dimensional space be
Mm-hmm.
illuminated by natural light from at least two sources. And this is one of the patterns that Renaissance architects followed because natural light is such an important facet of for Westernkind.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So here's like a kind of classroom in the corridor. So, I mean, it's just amazing atmosphere, right?
Yes,
Yeah, and there also is like a program, like a practice, like in academia, it's always start from drawing like Greece sculptures, like a David, and there are yeah, also some Roman faces. We draw like Greek philosophers. It's like first stage, just drawing still life, then it's sculpture, and only after we go to real figures like life models. So
yeah, and these are unmistakably Western art. If you
mm-hmm.
look at that building from the outside view,
Mm-hmm.
um, yes, that one, you'll see that the architect that designed that building, what they do is they create a pattern language. You'll see that those windows um,
Mm-hmm.
they are similar, but they are small variations. But there's a pattern language where it's repeated um, with slight variations. And this is the kind of thing that these artists did. So it's very educational to discover these um, pattern languages that these artists use, because this is the kind of thing. A building like this that is still used today. How old is that building?
Oh, I'm forget. Yeah, but yeah, sorry, forget.
So,
I
these
will write.
buildings,
Mm-hmm.
these
Yeah.
buildings, they are hundreds of years old, and they are still used today. And the reason why is because these are friendly places. These are buildings that resonate with our Western biospirit. They would be demolished a long time ago if we didn't find them. You know, it doesn't go out of style because it is spiritual. You have to change the people to make this go out of style.
So
It's
I
absolutely
find
beautiful.
it's 1878, like no, 1880s. This building
Yes, and we
1880. Mm,
yeah. So you know it's what's that almost 200 years old. Um,
yeah.
so we use words like whole, alive, comfortable, eternal when we try to speak about art like this, and it's because um, it it aligns with our spiritual expression, our internal expression. We It's not only the mathematical symmetries, the patterns that is independent of who looks at it, but it's the alignment with our internal expression that makes this building not be demolished, because there's always 100 different reasons why you should put a new building in a place. But this
Mm-hmm.
building survived because people wanted to be in this building, around this building, look at this building. It is just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean that inside view. Show me that inside view again. Yes, there. That is so. I mean, oh, look
Yeah.
at all the natural light.
Yeah. It's like um, epiphany kind of. Like, it really gives this
I
like
mean, I want to be there now. I want to be there now and experience it in 3 dimensions.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and so talking about this, I was kind of, for me it was hard because kind of situation in Russia with all this heritage and tradition. It's like politics for me as a guy from province was very hard to like anchor in St. Petersburg or Moscow. So eventually I just like uh, travel to Asia. So I've been in Shanghai, which also like have so many Western architecture. Like I was in a central street, which like everybody love Western architecture. You know, you can see it's like everybody like feels this, right? Feels this beauty and energy, and like trying to replicate it, but I think yeah, kind of nuance here, right? It's not just about appearance. So, and then in Shanghai, I've been in an artist residency with many foreign artists, like from Europe. Like, no, it's been artists from all around the world. And I met many artists from Europe, and I've been like surprised because I expect this these artists they will be like, you know, like much more educated in Western traditions than me, but I just met this like postmodern um, generation kind of, right? So instead of study like classic art like we do, they study there some kind of weird stuff like how to create abstract art, contemporary art, all these installations, um so some kind of just it's they just basically like they're more like commentators, so they more focus on how to sell their work, how to explain their work, than actually develop some meaning kind of, or really broadcast any real essence. um Kind of, yeah, so it's like was for me so confusing. I feel like, oh my god, so disappointing. Yeah.
So,
Так. Мгм.
um, wait, sorry.
Ага.
If you look at China and the auto manufacturers, they really, really struggled to break into Western markets, despite their cars improving in engineering quality. And what happened was they discovered that their designers just could not design cars for the Western markets. Now, if you think about it, when we buy a car, a lot of the decision is not based on the technical qualities of the car. A lot of the decision is based on how it makes you feel. And what the Chinese auto manufacturers did is they contracted Italian design firms like Bertone and Pininfarina. Um, and then they started making cars that people in the West wanted to buy. So they couldn't make Western art because they were not Western. They were Chinese. They could make cars for the Chinese markets. And if you look at the JIS Tensai, the Tensai is a new sport motor, new sports car that is designed by Pininfarina. And you can look at that car, and it looks like, it looks like a car designed by Ferrari or by Alfa Romeo. It looks like a Western. Um, so yes, the Chinese absolutely learned that lesson, and this just shows you that um, there's definitely a spiritual aspect to good art. It's not only the generalized, the master of the craft, the master of the medium, the patterns. It's about who is the designer and who is the designer designing for. Um, and if you think about Toyota, I don't like the cars that Toyota design. And I think it's because Toyota insists on doing design in-house. And they just, cannot really design cars that look like cars that I want to buy. If I buy a Toyota, it is because of the engineering qualities. It's not because I love how it makes me feel. Well, a Ferrari is a different thing. If I could afford one, I'd get one. But yes, and so I remember when the Korean cars came into the market, there was a period where these cars looked very strange.
Hmm.
You got the feeling that these cars are not designed by Western minds, and then they fixed it, and now the Korean cars look great.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, so this like also point I was planned to talk. So like how my evolution kind of was is changing. It's like I have this like two lines. One line, yeah, it's like every book I've been reading about art history for artists, kind of like all this like discovering techniques, all this kind of really focused, and discussions I had with peer artists focus on a tradition of craft. So it's like uh and people being like still wonder like, you need to look past to learn like really top kind of quality craftsmanship. It's like you cannot improve it. Actually, it's like we really like I don't know. It's like how can you improve it? You can only learn from them and like get to same kind of level, like at best, kind of. So and all the time it was like kind of only about this, but then I think it's like I start because I was keep asking myself kind of these questions about like what is meaning of art, because at certain point I understand it's like really important how every artist answers these questions, because like art or like making art, it's not it's not this kind of like material object we can which you can just go outside and take. You really need to formulate it in your mind, and different people they describe it differently, and like result quality of their work, it will represent their vision. It's not just like kind of vision like, oh, can I see this or not? No, it's vision. It means like how you see idea concept of it in general, like it's like in every nuance, like which words you use in your mind, which like images it recalls, what purpose of it for you, like what for is truly like really for you, what for is it, for money, for attention, maybe you have some kind of mission. It's like everybody has this like very nuanced definition. So for me my definition kind of was very interesting. Like at certain point, like I decide to make city drawings, and it's kind of also based on a tradition of this Russian academia. It's like we study real life around us, like making sketch, like just looking what people doing, looking what kind of situations we have in real world, and then we gather this like kind of like a journalism. We gather this material and we create like a typical scene with unique details, so people can kind of put themselves inside, right? They can recognize themselves in your work, and they recognize like situation, stuff like this. So you can only do this if you really study environment. So I was like travel like about 10 years like in a row, just almost no, some couple years I was really like homeless artist, just have like my luggage, put drawings there, and like I have only money to survive and move to next place. So drawing like different country, different city, and always I was like looking, observing environment, like go to some absolutely random place and ask myself like what is actually happen. Like I want to draw something which is beyond this superficial understanding, kind of how people like perceive it on a daily, well, first disappears on a daily base. And then it's kind of, you know, this appears this feeling is that I'm not much like, I don't know how to, it's like both. I go in deep inside what is surrounding me, and I go in deep inside myself. So I kind of project in myself into environment. Like way I interpret environment is actually like projection of my own perception, or my like my own vibrations, kind of. So I feel it's like a momentum of life. So this kind of like a source of life, which is exists together as a external force, creating this like material world, and also it exists like core of your own existence, like kind of this like a spring inside your own core, kind of, right? Because you kind of feel this connection, how this inside and outside, it's the same thing. Hello.
Yes, that's a cute dragon.
Yeah. So and kind of like the same. So this kind of going beyond this idea of just like developing craft skills, but going into this like reality, like transcendent reality, and the meaning, like meaning of forms, like beyond like my own self and world outside. And it's kind of like I find this concept of biospirit is actually like being like explaining it all, let's say. So no, I hope I explain clear, because sometimes I'm not sure.
So in what cultures have you, so do you immerse yourself in the
Mhm.
foreign culture? How
You
far
mean,
do you go? Do you learn their language?
no, I have like basic Chinese, and yeah, and I speak on English. I don't know, it's like, no, it's still Western language. Yeah, like I have basic Chinese just for like basic survival conversation. And no,
Okay, so
I live 10 year in Taiwan, and I'm in Asia like since 2013, kind of. Yeah.
okay. And is it so? Taiwan is also Chinese. Um, and have you been on mainland China,
Yeah.
Shanghai? That
Yeah, been like 14 city in mainland China, like from south to north. I was like Shanghai, Beijing, Taichung, Guangzhou, Taichung, like Hangzhou, Guangzhou, and I've been in this Xi'an where they have this like 1,000 warriors
Oh yes.
underground. Which I don't believe they actually excavating them. I think they're making them.
Have you, have you seen the terracotta soldiers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because when my wife visited China with her parents, and
Mm-hmm.
the guide told them that they couldn't go see the terracotta soldiers. I don't know if that changed. This was 2019.
19. No, I was there, I think 14, 2014.
Okay.
Mm. So I don't know, maybe it
And
was some kind
what
of a renovation. Mhm.
what kind of music do they make in China?
Like, it's kind of like a very high pitch kind of music, you know, like some kind of this like violin and like kind of lutny, you know, has English, like where it's like many strings and they like played fingers on like a table with 40 strings or something like this. So if talking like traditional. And they have this Chinese Beijing opera where it's kind of they have this like interesting, I don't know how to say it. It's like in a Chinese kind of culture they have this maybe yeah, some kind of also spiritual idea of like making noise. So at some point it's like you need to make loud sounds to scare ghosts, like scare demons, so they will like walk away and you will have more luck. But sometimes it's like kind of cacophony. It's like one of a genre of a Chinese music, where it's just like doing, 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 kind of this.
That image on the screen, is that a Greek theater?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yes, because they say, or what I researched about Aeschylus is they say those theaters held up to 17,000 people, and the actors, of
Mm.
course, didn't have speakers and amplifiers, so they had to speak loudly so that everyone can hear in the theater. But apparently, the acoustics is quite good in those theaters.
Mm. Cool. Yeah. So let's say like uh, kind of like again like eventually like at certain point I find this kind of essence which I can like, you know, like almost, no, I mean like I can feel it like a real thing. It's this spirit which I feel when I observe real environment, which is like projection myself on environment outside, which is like looks like very similar to this architecture which you were talking about, this patterns. It's kind of this thing like I like patterns, all this like organizing chaos. I've been like going to very messy places, like very busy messy environments, and find like how can I like make a geometry of them so it will be like seemingly disorganized, but actually they're all like a flowing and interconnected. And then I was thinking of like I want to also tell my own stories and draw my illustrations and paintings with a narrative. And I was thinking like what kind of message it can be. So when I watch like my favorite artists, many of them it's Japanese artists who then when I go to like research what behind their ideas, like in their story, like Miyazaki, for example, this Totoro kind of famous cartoons. Behind this is like very clear tradition of like mysticism, like Japanese Shinto religion. So he like being very conscious about um, kind of like a preserving and like expressing their Japanese tradition in art and like a spirit of it. So for there first of all for Japanese people, because for foreigners where we watch these cartoons, for us it looks like just fancy fairy tales, but for them they have like really very deep spiritual meaning, like kind of like core concepts of their culture, of their society kind of. So and then I kind of like realized that this like tradition or like art history of Western art history, Western tradition, it's not just about like looking for skills, like oh how these masters can make these amazing works, but it's also uh, looking for connection. So it's like it's kind of like a finding yourself, your own roots, and then like in analog like how this Japanese artist doing this, like you serve this um, your own roots, your own like your own kind, can say, like when you reconnect yourself to it, like archetype of the West, right? And you reconnect yourself, like kind of like synchronize yourself, align yourself with this archetype, and then with your art you start to broadcasting this archetype and help other people in your society to connect to this spirit, which is like make them uh, remember kind of themselves and find meaning, like kind of these core principles and important archetypes also, which like um, included all those archetypes of like kind of personal traits, type of characters, like who you can be, how should you behave, these kind of things. Hello.
Yeah, that's yes. Is that what place is that on the screen now? That in
Oh,
Italy.
yeah, should be. I think, yeah, somewhere in Italy. I just I've been like download this from high school video. Like,
Because the architects of Tuscany, they are masters of these pattern languages where they will have a simple pattern. Let me just see if I can quickly find one. Um, where they would basically build the whole town on. So yes, a pattern that is used for. Um, wait, I did have it here. So they will have this simple pattern for making houses in the town, and they will replicate it, and it is like an organic growth over the hill of these houses will then lay out in this pattern, and it's of course this pattern is now um, harmonizing with our biospirit in terms of the proportions, you know, where the windows are, all of that. But in these simple patterns that these architects use, they are able to create these larger structures that almost looks organic when they are when they you know when you have a lot of them together. Um, but yes, it's amazing when you study these artists how they did things. Then it's part of the craft. It's just like what you said about um, there is a facet of great art that is mastering the craft. And one of these things you need to learn is of course the medium, but also how did great artists do these great works? And there's a lot you can learn sort of as a shortcut. If you think about the fact that we only have 3% of um, all the Greek tragedies, um, and fortunately we have some great ones, but all of those that were lost, those are still inside us because the Greek biospirit is the same. The ancient Greek biospirit is the Western biospirit. We can recreate what they created. But of course, if we look back, some of these artists, they spent their whole lives perfecting their craft. So this is the pinnacle of um, what you can achieve if you dedicate your whole life to that single thing. So there's a lot to learn about art by looking at art history. Because where do you find today people who from the age of 6 or 7 or 8 dedicate their life to one thing and reach the pinnacle of that art form? It's very rare. So and another thing that you must keep in mind, these great works, if you think about something like the Odyssey,
Mm-hmm.
why do we even have the Odyssey? It's because it was so good that it survived. It survived genocidal wars. It survived falls of civilizations because it is just so good. So if you are writing stories, you should study the Odyssey. You should study the narrative structure of that work. Because you may think that that has been surpassed many times, but you would be wrong. So absolutely. And another thing I want to say about art, I'm not an artist, but when I look at these great men and women of the West in the past, it happens so often that are they are good across many different mediums. So they are not restricted to. If you look at Brunelleschi, for instance, he was an architect, but he did sculpture, he did paintings, he did engineering. Um, that's another thing about many of these great artists. They express themselves in different mediums and different ways.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So because yeah, it's like formality of art form. It's basically like main point of it is just to focus your kind of craft development, because you cannot start by doing everything. But you should focus on one thing, and then when you go far with it, when you go deep with this, you can find parallels. You can find like how architect connected with music, how sculpture connected with dancing, even like martial arts connected to like visual art.
These nature scenes are just so. It's like you know it's it's so beautiful, and that's another thing. There's an art form, Art Nouveau, which I used to think that art symmetry is essential to beauty, but
Mm-hmm.
Art Nouveau is an art form that rejects symmetry. It's an art form that says we are going to break the tyranny of the geometric symmetry, and we are going to make art that is organic, that has flowing lines. Um, and I realized that there is an aspect of beauty in symmetry when you're talking about human faces, for instance, because asymmetry in a human face is indicative of some defect, and this is why symmetry in a face is good. Insert certain facial features, but symmetry in general is in art is important, but it's not what makes it beautiful. It's the proportions. It's not the fact that the lines are symmetrical or straight, or it's the proportions. It's the three-dimensional proportions. This People discovered that if you look at security camera footage of airports, um, the people start grouping in the same spots. So there are friendly spots in the building, and if you go and look at that spots that are friendly spots, it has a lot to do with how the natural light gets to that place. That's one of the aspects. So there is a spiritual component of architecture that's very hard to quantify, and but I think it needs to be studied more.
Mm. Yeah, and yeah, this like yeah, it's, it's very interesting. It's like a lot of like subconscious kind of, let's say, structures, like about, no, I mean, like artist composition basically is about how to go beyond uh, conscious, like how to invoke certain feelings, and also kind of like manipulate people reactions and behavior also. That's why also it's uh, kind of like right now we live in this time with when all this is hijacked. It's like work with like hyper stimulation, when they make this kind of like big eyes or something like crazy
Yeah.
rhythms. Yeah, so and
Yes.
here, yeah. Sorry.
There's a large new complex that was built on my way to work, and I can appreciate it on an aesthetic level. But there's something about the way that they put those curves together, that just grates me spiritually. I, you know, it, it's something about that building that's ugly, and I cannot put my finger on it. And I can almost guarantee you that that architect was not a man of the West. Um, it's geometric flowing lines, but there's something about the three-dimensional proportions of that building that every time I drive past it, it just grates my soul.
Yeah, so
And look at that building.
mhm. Which means
That
mhm.
the previous one, but
Ah,
it's this these windows. Those windows have little patterns, and what um, and then you'll see that they are there's slight variations. There's, let's say, three designs of those windows, but they will have some internal pattern that is repeated, and the proportions of that thing is important. It's there's definitely something in the three-dimensional arrangement of those window designs, where when at some point it starts to look not not it doesn't look good anymore because the proportions changed. I remember when we were in Norway, we discovered, because in many places in Norway there would be two dragons on an entrance to a building, and we discovered that the dragons, many times, the dragons were different sexes. And then we could spot. that which one is the female and which one is the male.
Hmm.
And if you look at the Norse dragon design, it's very different to a Chinese dragon. Um, and so there's something. A Chinese dragon looks more like a snake, while
Hmm.
a Norse dragon looks. What kind of animal would be the closest? It's difficult to say. It's more like a Tyrannosaurus with wings.
Ah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like a dinosaur. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, so uh yeah, and I mean kind of like what is interesting for me here, so kind of like theme of a stream. I think it's important for artists like no, I mean like specifically Western artists, because I'm not very much into any other art and I'm Western kind myself. So it's important to study history, and like you say about Odyssey, yeah, like I definitely will study Odyssey, because I've been already researched like my favorite this series Soprano. It's like, oh, so multi-layer, and I kind of like been research about it, and there's like a lot of base on Odyssey. So these people like they're very educated kind of, let's say. And because kind of like we have so many variety, kind of like so many different specter kind of like of everything, like directions where you can go, what kind of team you can do, what kind of art you can do. And artists who don't know his own history, who don't know his kind of his own culture, he very lost, because all art, all craft is always based on a master apprentice system. We always need some example to follow, some example to study from, some kind of this like paragon or like so. And when artists don't know culture and history, he can be like chasing these trends. He kind of don't have like idea of proper parameters and characteristics. He looking like, oh, maybe because it's popular, then it's good. Because it's trending, then it's good. Because it's kind of bring money or many likes or attention, kind of, then I should follow this. I kind of should chase this kind of stuff. And for me, all this looks like shallow. It look like just so much like AI kind of work, and just like people, they just drop everything in their head and they try to generate based on all this like random arrangement of absolutely random material without having any clear intention and like any direction. Like it's just some kind of chasing uncertain a certain thing. And this can be like very kind of a lot of very tempting, very like interesting directions, let's say, like with this like hyper stimulation or something. It's like, wow, it's like very exciting. But with all this excitement, with all success, with all respect this like false direction can bring to artist, he will never get this like experience when you truly connected to like true essence, kind of real meaning, like kind of you truly find yourself. I have this like couple times when I can say clearly like I've been centered, it's just like, okay, this is a great moment kind of in my life, and like I wish everybody have this. And I have this when I draw. not when I drank or whatever. No, like it was when I've been drawing and I've been like synchronized with this uh like by a spirit, with this true kind of true of my own self, and seeing this my inner it's kind of like, I don't know, like our essence projected in the world, and like when you like really kind of connected, synchronized with this, and we should really like turn our attention on it and work towards this direction. And it's like it just feels like you um, really work with something substantial. It's not like rational, it's not impulsive, it's like direction which only give you a feeling of fulfillment and meaning, kind of this.
Yes, there's a scene in the Odyssey where Odysseus is in disguise, and if he is discovered, the suitors will kill him. So he's in disguise. He comes back to his palace after 20 years, and his dog Argos sits there. The dog is old. The dog cannot move anymore. But Odysseus and the dog sees through the disguise. The dog recognizes him, and the dog wants to crawl to Odysseus, but Odysseus looks straight at it. He walks past, and as he walks past, the dog dies, and
Mm.
Odysseus wipes a single tear from his face. Now, this is a beautiful scene. This is a very Western scene. Um, and I think for some non-white cultures, that scene would not make any sense because we have a special connection with dogs. But there's another thing that there's an expression. Um, the dog is barking.
Mm-hmm.
It points. It refers to this scene in Odysseus, and what it means is if you make art and you try to hide bad quality with this hyperstimulation, with this superficial decoration, then what they say is the dog is barking. In other words, the dog is seeing through that, and he knows he can see the bad quality. And so it's true what you say. You must focus on the core of what you are trying to express, and not all the superficiality that is just used to add noise to what you're trying to say with your art.
Yeah, interesting. Cool. Uh, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's kind of will be a conclusion here, or you want to say something too?
Um, yeah, I just love those images. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing is these great artists. Think about the fact that um, the blood of those artists flows in you. Um, so what they created is in you, and connecting with that spirit, with that Western biospirit, will will make you. It will inspire you to do greater things, to stand on their shoulders by looking at what they did, learning what they did, and then building on that. So this is very inspirational. This is um, when when the Greek statues. No one looks like that. No one looks like that. But we celebrate our ideals. When a Greek citizen in Athens, when he looked up at that statue, he can feel good about the fact that even though he may have lost a finger, or he's maybe not in shape or whatever, he can see that that statue is inside him in some
Hmm.
form. And this is very inspirational. And this is what beautiful art is. It elevates us. It makes us better. It inspires us to do better. And I think this is one of the secrets of Western civilization. This thing that we connect with our art and we create a world that we want to aspire to.
Yeah, and also interesting how much it's kind of like in harmony with the nature. Like in the contrary, with all this like anti-white propaganda, which like I was watching like Avatar, is like what the hell is like it's absolutely like upside down reality. Like when they shows like oh this evil white people destroying planet, kind of just
Yeah.
just look how it's always like with the trees, parks, people like white Western civilization kind of there make always like based on the nature, synchronized with nature, and they cherish nature.
Oh yes. We love everything about the living world. I mean, think about the fact that if it wasn't for Western civilization, there would be no whales. They would be farmed out. Um, I mean, every single small little plant is preserved by our people. And these are sentiments that are not shared, not at all. If you look at the biodiversity of China and of India, the biodiversity is very low. They keep around what they find useful. Um, while if in 1 square kilometer of the Cape, there's more plant species than in the entire India, because we just love to preserve unique little living things. And it doesn't have to be a huge animal like a rhinoceros or a whale. It's some tiny little worm that no one finds useful, and but we will find its niche and protect it and try to make it successful, uh, to to propagate into the future. This is who we are. So this whole idea of these Hollywood movies that absolutely slanders our people by putting us always in the position where we are the ones who destroy nature. This is an inversion. This is an anti-white inversion, and reality is, of course, the opposite.
Yeah, insane. That's crazy. Yeah. Okay. So it was interesting conversation. Yeah,
Thanks a
maybe.
lot.
Oh, nice. Yeah, maybe like next time also talk about like Odyssey or like stories because like I still planning to make my comic book and yeah I will do homework. I will finally read Odyssey and we can talk about this maybe like how like you say these all important narratives they came from Greece, right?
Yes, I mean when I watched the movie Pulp Fiction the first time, I thought it was quite interesting the way the complex narrative structure. And then I find out later that this is they basically copied that narrative structure from the Odyssey. And I
Hmm.
remember how the movie critics was so enthralled by that movie, but at the same time they criticized the Odyssey for the complex narrative structure. So it's this double standard.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. Okay, yeah, nice.
I'd love to talk about the Odyssey. It's yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely great storytelling. And you know what's amazing about that?
Mm.
Um, it was written in 1200 or it's written more or less around 600 before Christ, but the story it tells is around 1280 before Christ. Um, the way that it manages to still engage you emotionally 3,000 years after the fact, this just shows you that it's an underlying substrate that is the same, that is aligned, that is common amongst those people and our people. And it's not culture because our culture is now very different to what it was in that. But there's an underlying substrate, and it's the Western biospirit. That's why that speaks to us so clearly today. So yes, wonderful story. Um, that is absolutely an investment that you will not be sorry um, if you spend the time to enjoy that piece of Western art and history.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was planning, but kind of, yeah, procrastinating on this. But now I will do for sure. Yeah, nice. Thank you. Okay, so everybody go to
Thank you.
the Stilbert X account. There are many interesting lectures, and like every day you making how they call it, groups or
Isis, X Spices.
spaces. Yeah, X spaces. Yeah, so everybody can join and even like a conversation with you there, right?
Yes, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on X.
Nice. Okay, so everybody go there. See you later.
Thank you.